This is the Fantasy Football 411 podcast. The best place to get the latest 411 on your fantasy football team. Here are your hosts, Alex and Amanda.
And welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football 411 podcast.
This is the best place to get the latest 411 for your fantasy football team. We are your hosts. I'm Alex.
And I'm Amanda.
And in this episode, we are going to give you a quick Week 14 recap. We're then going to get into Week 15 waivers. And to close it out, we have the Week 15 matchups for you. How did you do this past week?
I won in both leagues.
Same here.
Mm-hmm. So winning household, people.
Yeah. And it's good to be winning this late in the season because both of us are making playoffs in one league. She's making it in the other league. I need like so many things to happen in the other league to make it, so it's not looking good. But fingers crossed on that. Otherwise, if you were listening last week or you tried watching last week, you would notice that there wasn't any video posted for this podcast. Sorry about that. Turns out the camera that we were recording with ran out of space. Technical difficulty. Should have planned it ahead of time. We didn't. So that's why there's no video. There will be a partial video posted, most likely with this one. But sorry about that. That's why you got to listen to the audio version. And you're also hearing this a little late. You're going to hear this the night before waivers. So sorry for the last minute post, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. If you want to follow us anywhere, feel free to follow us on FanFootball411. Find us on Twitter. That's where you would have gotten the update last night that the episode was going to be late today. And that being said, let's get into the Week 14 recap. Here's the latest 411. So we got some injuries worth noting. Quarterback Taylor Heineke left with a knee injury in the fourth quarter. Didn't seem serious. He should be okay.
Wide receiver Terry McLaurin was taken out after a hard fall. I keep wanting to say a hard hit.
It was a hit from the ground.
From his head and shoulder. If he clears concussion protocol, he should be able to play Week 15.
That was a tough one. Hope he's okay. Running back Rex Burkhead suffered a groin injury, most likely to be limited or not play in Week 15. So that's worth noting.
Lamar Jackson suffered a low ankle sprain and is optimistic to play Week 15 if there is no structural damage.
I wish the best to Lamar Jackson. I obviously don't wish the worst on him, but just rest for Week 15 so that way Green Bay's defense that I have can, bank up some points with Huntley out there. But as of right now, that injury is up in the air. I'm curious to see where that falls on either side. Haven't heard either or. I've heard actually both sides a little bit of maybe he will play, maybe he won't. So stay tuned on that if you are a Raven player owner or you are a Jackson owner. Wide receiver DJ Moore suffered a knee injury, was ready to come back in and play, so he should be able to play in Week 15.
QB Josh Allen was wearing a boot after the game, which was, I think, everyone was like, what the heck, because he played a full game.
And I have it marked here as turf toe. It's not turf toe. It was an ankle sprain just before you get there.
Oh, so is he going to play moving forward?
I don't know. He should be able to, but I think it was a high boot too, from what I remember, which could be a high ankle sprain. So that's worth noting. Look into that if something's been out on it already. Make sure you're updated on that. But that's the latest I have on it. Wide receiver EQ St. Brown on Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers is in concussion protocol. He must clear to play Week 15.
Well, I was going to say while you're looking this up, another note, even if your player isn't injured, keep an eye on the COVID pop-ups, I guess you can say. Yeah. A lot of people now are getting COVID, so just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, another one which I didn't hear anything about today, two actually, that are worth noting. One of them, which affects me directly, is DeAndre Hopkins was limping on the sideline last night towards the end of the game. Not sure if it's anything serious. I want to say he came back in. I'm not 100% sure on that. Stay tuned on that. Look that up. Stay, on top of that news when it comes out. But James Conner's another one. Last play of the game, I believe. He was laying on the ground.
The second to last play.
And the medics had to come out. So he I think I did see him hobble off. So he should be okay. But worth noting, both of those injuries could be pretty significant to your team. So moving on to the stat leaders of week 14, running back Dalvin Cook carried 27 times for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. All of this happened moments after thinking he was sitting out this game. Like everybody, including me, Alexander Madison owners, were just ready for this matchup. It was going to be a feast. Then all of a sudden, Dalvin Cook is eligible to play. Hated every second of it, but look, he was perfect for it.
And George Kittle, he was 13 for 151 with 1 touchdown.
That's 2 weeks in a row now. George Kittle has been in beast mode. I want to see it moving forward. I mean, I think expert consensus rankings has him at number 1 as a tight end for week 15. So it goes to show that maybe he's your end of the season league winner or my end of the season.
Sure.
Yep. So this is great for Kittle owners, great for Kittle. I think it also helps that Debo hasn't been out there too much. I mean, last week he wasn't out at all. This week I feel like he got like limited reps, but that's something worth noting. You know, if Debo comes back full-fledged, then yeah, it might, limit Kittle a little bit more than this high volume. But the final one on here that's worth noting is wide receiver Tyler Lockett went 5 receptions for 142 yards and 1 touchdown. So that just tells you right there that they were pretty much off of bombs that he got this yardage. But it's worth noting that 5 for 142 in a touchdown is pretty crazy, pretty impressive. Let's get into some waivers for week 15. So we're going to do this week's waivers a little bit different. We're going to give you some picks of who we think you should pick up, and then we'll tell you our take whether they're cold or hot. So first and foremost, KJ Osborne with the Minnesota Vikings had a great week this past week. You know it because you had him. What, did he get, 17 points or something?
Oh, yeah. It was different. It was like one league was 17, the other league was 20.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy, especially if you were a KJ Osborne owner to fill in for Adam Thielen, who I don't believe will be back this week.
I don't think so.
I doubt it. So KJ Osborne, if he is unowned, he's 38% owned in most leagues. So pick him up if he's there. He's worth at least 50% of your fab at this point, this late in the season. You're obviously picking him up to compete. So KJ Osborne, for me, that's a hot pickup.
Yeah, the only thing with Osborne is if he didn't have that, like, I don't know, it was like a 62-yard catch, I mean, he wouldn't have been much of a play there. So
True.
I feel like he's a little bit of a boomer bust, right? Unfortunately. So, yeah. I mean, I might have to play him in one league again, but we'll see. Kendrick Bourne, he is 31% rostered. I feel like a lot of people picked him up a few weeks back, but he may have been dropped because the Patriots were on bye. So he is the wide receiver 3 for New England, but he's still getting a decent amount of work. So if you need a almost desperate, but not really desperate pickup for a wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne I think is a good one. Yeah,
the thing with Kendrick Bourne that gets me, though, is he had like 0.3 fantasy points against Buffalo, and they're playing Indianapolis this week, and then they're playing Buffalo again. So I think for championship week, they play Jaguars. I think that's something to look forward to with him. But I think against Indianapolis and Buffalo, you're not, I mean, I don't know. I don't see too much potential there. I was honestly, before the bye week, before that Buffalo game, I was on the high horse as well. I was like, yeah, pick up Kendrick Bourne. He's obviously the target that Mac Jones is going for. But Buffalo knew how to shut him down. They're going to do it once again in week 16. Week 15, Indianapolis is probably taking notes on how they did it as well. So no thanks to him. He's a cold pickup. If you're desperate for a wide receiver, go for it, but not for me. Another wide receiver, maybe the last one I'd recommend here to pick up is Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Lions. I mean, he had a crazy game-winning catch. Was that this week or last week when they beat the Vikings?
Last
week. Stuff, these weeks are flying by so much, it's hard to tell. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'd pick him up. I mean, Detroit's kind of, thin at wide receiver. I'd easily take him over Kendrick Bourne. I'd probably put down, 15, 20% on him. And I'd keep him in the cold just because he's not like a standout player or anything, but he's definitely worth a pickup.
Someone else to keep an eye on is Jalen Guyton.
Guyton.
If Keenan Allen isn't in, he's someone to kind of keep an eye on.
People are picking up like Jordan Howard. No thanks. Too busy of a backfield. That's cold for me. Can't take him. Taysom Hill with his busted finger. I'm not really feeling it. He's 50% owned in most leagues, but he looked like, yes, they beat the Jets and he put up points, but he was horrible in that game. Like, he was not good at all. I'm just not a fan of him this season. Usually I am. I think Taysom Hill's an awesome QB, especially on his feet. He can get around, but I have no confidence towards the end of the season with him, especially with the busted finger and stuff. I didn't see anything worth noting against the Jets.
If you need some tight end help, Gerald Everett, I think, is a good option in Seattle. So he reached the end zone in 2 of 3. So, and I remember when we were watching that game, I feel like his name kept popping up. So
yeah, you put him in the hot.
For tight ends,
like, you're sure that he's going to be worth a pickup, or you're
depends on, I don't know who they go against.
Oh no, they're going against the Rams.
Maybe.
Okay, so he's a cold. So, and the final one I want to mention, we have one in the hot section, so we have to do this. Who's hot? The final one is Rashad Penny. He dominated against the Texans with 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. He dominated the touches and the snaps, surpassing those marks combined by Alex Collins and DJ Dallas. I think he's worth a pickup. Obviously, they went and picked up Adrian Peterson, so everybody got, spooked, and they weren't going for Penny.
Spooked Magoot.
He's most likely there on waivers. I go for him. Running backs are needed right now in the season. If he is there on waivers, put down 30 to 50% in that range for him if you need a running back. Let's get into the week 15 matchups.
There's no buys.
We're all done with the bye weeks.
No buys.
Finally.
None. Sorry. None here.
First matchup on the docket, Thursday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. The over-under in this game is 50.5. I'm going over on this just because I'm feeling hyped. Los Angeles Chargers have a lot to prove in this game. I think Austin Eckler is going to play, but he's going to be limited. I think you're going to see a little bit of him and Justin Jackson because the Chargers need this win to, lock it in. So Kansas City is going to put up a fight. Los Angeles Chargers are going to ball out. I could see this being a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I chose the under. Now, granted, he gave me no time to do my over and unders today, so these were just quick, I don't know here. So I did pick the under. I feel like it's going to be high scoring, but I don't see it going that high. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of turnovers and I feel like it's just going to be messy. So that's why I went under.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs defense did show up this past week. That was against the Raiders, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, doesn't help that the Raiders didn't look too good, but I feel like both of these defenses could put up a fight or, prevent each other from scoring a lot of points. So I could see the under on this. I'm just banking on it being 2 high-scoring offenses.
The Raiders at the Browns with a 42.5 over and under, and we both took the under.
Yeah, just like I said, the Raiders didn't look good last week. I don't think they're going to look good this week. Another one is Cleveland Browns players. Speaking of COVID pop-ups,
a lot of them.
They had at least COVID, 8, right?
Yeah,
they had and they're all fantasy impactful players. Whether they were linemen, still affects in fantasy.
I know Landry was one.
Austin Hooper was another. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're getting hit with these right now, unfortunately, and I just don't see the score going too high. That's why I'm going under on that. The Dallas Cowboys have a divisional matchup at the New York Giants. 44.5 over under. I went risky on this and I went over. And the only reason I'm saying it's risky is Daniel Jones is most likely not playing this game either. If he does, then obviously it wasn't too risky. But with his neck injury or whatever's going on, I just don't see him playing. I mean, I think he just went to a spinal doctor in New York or something. I don't know. It's pretty serious. Yeah. So Dallas Cowboys defense is back. I mean, just like they looked in the beginning of the season, it looks like they're all back and they're playing awesome football. And if they're going against Mike Glennon in New York, it's not going to look good, for the Giants at all. So I think if it does go over, it's going to be the Cowboys, and that's what I'm banking on. But I could totally see the under here for that reason.
Yeah.
And
the under for that reason.
So you're going under for that reason. All right.
Houston?
The Houston.
What is with I can't talk.
Ever.
The Houston Texans against the Jaguars.
Oh, you had the opportunity to say Jaguars and you didn't take it.
No. 40.5 over and under, and we both took the under.
Yeah, not exciting at all. I mean, both these teams just struggle. And like the politics in Jacksonville right now are pretty gruesome. So I just don't think surprisingly the politics on the team could affect the players, which I think they do. So especially in this situation. So yeah, 40.5 over under. I think that's too high. I see us being a low scoring game for that reason. Tennessee Titans at Pittsburgh Steelers, 41.5 over under. We both went over on this. Feel like both of these teams are competitive, trying to prove something. Makes sense that it could be over.
The Jets at the Dolphins with a 43.5 over and under, and we both took the under.
We both lost all faith in our team.
Yeah.
It's not about faith, it's about performance, and it just they haven't shown up, and now they're going against a division rival who's actually a good defense and a good team that's actually doing pretty decent. I mean, obviously they have their flaws, but they're looking a lot better than the Jets right now. I can't see this being a high-scoring game because of that. I think it's going to be back and forth a bit, but I think Dolphins take this one, and I think it's going to be just under 43.5. Washington football team at the Philadelphia Eagles, 43.5. We both went over on this. I feel like this is another, back and forth shootout. Jalen Hurts, I believe, will be back. So I think either way, Gardner Minshew's a great backup. I would rather have Gardner in there just because I picked up Dallas Goedert and I feel like he gets favored more with Gardner. But Jalen Hurts, I think the last I heard, is playing this week. And if he does, it's still going to be a competitive matchup, especially if Heineke does play, which is looking that way. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be over that, contingent on both of those guys playing. If Heineke doesn't play, then I think this is going to be under.
We got the Cardinals at the Lions with a 47.5 over and under, and we both took the over.
Yeah, this is exciting for the Cardinals.
I was going to say for
the Cardinals. It would be pretty funny, though, if the Lions won this one, too, and had a second win. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen. Congratulations to the person that does bet on that side, though. That's going to be funny. But yeah, over basically on the Cardinals side. I think they're going to rule the house on this one. But I could totally see this being one of those sneaky games that you're like, oh, you thought it was going to be a blowout and it ended up being competitive. Either way, I could see it totally being over 47.5. Carolina Panthers at the Buffalo Bills, 43.5 over under. We're both going over on this. I think if Josh Allen's injury isn't significant, then yes, this is easily an over game. And if Cam can just stop being a ball hog and hand it off to a running back and pass it around a little bit more, I think this can be over. That's what I'm putting my confidence in. But I could totally see this being under and have none of that happen. Like Josh Allen doesn't play and Cam is a ball hog.
Right. We have the Bengals at the Broncos with a 43.5 over and under. And I took the over and you took the under.
The only thing that worries me, and a lot of people say it doesn't matter, is Joe Burrow's finger injury, with throwing the ball. And I hope I'm wrong because I have Jamar Chase and I'm going to be playing him, obviously. But if he can't throw the ball or if he's inaccurate throwing the ball against Denver's cornerbacks, it's not going to look pretty for the Bengals. Even though he did hold up this past week, it didn't look too bad on his part. I'm taking the under based on that limitation that could be in play and the fact that it's the Broncos, who don't seem like a too high scoring of an offense this season, besides like obviously Javonte Williams is a beast. But yeah, I'm taking the under on that.
I chose the over just because I feel like it's going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah.
I feel like the Broncos D is probably going to get at Burrow a few times, but I feel like it's going to be a pretty good match. So
yeah, I could see obviously if Burrow's finger is looking good and he's fine, like I could totally see this going over. The Atlanta Falcons are at the San Francisco 49ers, and the over-under on this is 45.5. I'm going over on this. I think it's going to be a shootout, back and forth. I think the Falcons have the weapons they do. They've been utilizing them wisely, and the 49ers are showing up too. So I think this could be, it's not going to be like, 70 points, I don't think, but I think it could be just over 45.5. So I'm going over on this.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about this game. I don't feel like it's going to be much. The Falcons have been a little iffy in my mind. So I don't know. This game doesn't seem very exciting to me.
So you're taking the under?
So I took the under on that. We got the Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams with a 46.5 over and under, and we both took the over. I think this is going to be a good game.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the type of game. It's like Kansas City against the Chargers. Like when you first read it, you're like, oh, this is going to be over. But you do have to keep in mind certain things are happening here. Odell Beckham Jr. now just popped up with COVID. So if this does keep happening and it takes out, prominent players, there's definitely, it's going to change, the betting odds here. But as of right now, the way it stands, even without Beckham in there, I'm taking the over on this. I think it's going to be exciting. Even if it's just over 46.5, I think it's going to be. Green Bay Packers at the Baltimore Ravens is a 42.5 over under. I'm taking the under on this just based on the fact that I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to play based on what I'm hearing. I think the Packers defense is going to be getting most of their points. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to have to do much. Unfortunate for me, because I have Rodgers, I just don't see him having to, air the ball out as much as he usually does, just because if it's Huntley out there, yes, he can move the ball a little bit, but he's no Lamar Jackson, and I feel like Packers are going to shut him out if Lamar doesn't play. So I'm taking the under on this.
Oh, I took the over.
Yeah. Are you banking on Lamar playing?
But that's the contingents.
Yeah.
Although I feel like even if he doesn't play, I feel like the Packers alone could.
They could run it up. My hope is that Rodgers still balls out, even if they are running, if their defense is scoring points.
The New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a 46.5 over and under, and we both took the under.
Yeah, I feel like this is a one-sided game. I feel like Buccaneers have this one easily, and I feel like the score doesn't need to get too much higher than 46.5 because it probably won't. You either have Taysom Hill or Simeon as a QB. I don't see it looking too pretty against the Buccaneers. The final game, Monday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. Division rivalry, 43.5 over under. We're both taking the over on this. And I don't know about you, but I'm leaning the Vikings on this. I think they're going to win it. And I think the Chicago Bears are going to put up a fight being a division rival, but they're not going to take this one. And one we forgot to mention in here is the New England Patriots at Indianapolis Colts. The over under on this game is 45.5. I'm going to take the under on this, just because I feel like both teams are going to be fighting each other, and I feel like it's a trap game that makes you think it's going to go over 45.5.
Under on that as well.
Yeah.
The Colts defense is pretty good. So.
Now, keep in mind, like that game, there are Saturday games. What were the other teams playing Saturday?
So it's just New England at the Colts and the Raiders at the Browns at 4:30.
Make sure if you have any players in those games for Saturday, they're in your lineup and set, just because you're not used to having players in on a Saturday. But yeah, so you have Thursday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Make sure you get all your lineup set. If you have any questions, hit us up on the socials at FanFootball411. Thank you for tuning in. We're now wrapping it up. We're both looking at the playoff picture in both leagues here. Well, both leagues for you, one league for me. But I hope that we were able to help you so far this season get that far. If not, let us know. Take your anger out on us, because we did the best that we could to let you know everything that we're doing. But that being said, one last thing, one last tip. Keep an eye on Austin Eckler's status this week. If he is looking iffy, Justin Jackson is a huge pickup, and you could dump the bank on him if Eckler doesn't play. Secret note, this is why you have to listen to the last second of this episode, because we sneak these little tips in. So Justin Jackson would be my best recommendation. He'd be my hot pickup this week if Eckler is out. That being said, good luck this week. Hit us up.
See you week 16.